Okay, let's start. Thank you. Um, the second theme in this chapter, chapter 1 here, is that we have to learn something created by this guy here, Paul Michael Porter, and he has made a model helping us to see how we can make use of information system to help a company run better. And we call this using IT for competitive advantage. All right. And before he make use of his model that we're gonna see later here, this is the model, all right? The model is like that. This is his model. Let's see how he analyzed the market first. This analysis of the market actually, the same is the business strategies that we talk about in managing organization as well. If you're selling something to a group of people, that we call it a market, there's many ways you can do it. You can be the only person selling that particular items, and then you can enjoy the highest market share and the lowest price because you're the only provider there. Okay, that way of running is called cost leadership. All right. For example, in Hong Kong, a lot of people, if you assume, all right, that they all like to eat durian， 可能咧你假設成個香港人都好多人都中意食榴蓮，成個香港啲人都好中意食榴蓮嘅，for example，and you bought all durians in the world or in Hong Kong, so you're the only providers, only seller, all right? So you get the lowest unit cost, and you can also sell in a lower price than the others, all right? That's you're enjoying cost leadership. And we find a lot of the monopolies, right? Or nearly monopolies in Hong Kong enjoy something like that. Like the supermarket, they always actually practicing overall cost leadership. 即係你有一樣嘢咧，如果你係長期咁樣可以用幾乎壟斷嘅方法買晒佢，跟住咧你就可以用最低嘅單位成本啦入價啦，咁跟住你可能賣高少少，你都會賺錢嘅。OK， 呢個就係 cost 佢中文叫成本法啊。咁通常啲大財團先用得。Normally, companies have a lot of capitals. They can make use of that technique to invade the market. But if you don't have all that much money, a lot of them don't. And then they will turn to the second strategy to conquer the market. So it's like a war. You're conquering the market, actually. It's differentiation. Okay, I can't buy all kind of particular items in the market. So if I've got some of them and make it special in such a way that people will be willing to pay a little bit higher price to buy my product, right? That's differentiation. So I make myself different from the other. For example, everyone in the market is selling bread, but I'm selling organic bread. Now, organic is something different from ordinary things, right? So that's differentiation. So your bread supposedly will be much more nutritious than the other, right? Okay, that's differentiation strategy. Or, okay, I can't buy all the durian in the market, and then I make use of the durian to make some ice cream out of it. Now that's differentiation, because people like ice cream, people like durian, all right, and then they probably buy from you. McDonald's tried it before, and it's turned out to be quite successful. A lot of people liked it actually, and of course, a lot of people think it's smelly anyway. Focus is you are just targeting on a very small group of people, and then you give the product to them, all right? That's focus. For example, I'm just selling something to people who are willing to pay a lot of the money to buy a watch, right? That would be focus. Because you don't need actually the whole market to let your business sustain. Maybe just 1%, 0.5% of the market, you basically can run your company for quite a long time. And that's why for some company, instead of fighting head on with the big capital business enterprises, they focus on something very special, all right? Maybe they produce a handmade watch that sells only to those kind of high income professions, all right? That's focus. focus 咧即係針對嘅叫集中法啊。differentiation 中文咧叫差異法，差異即係令到自己同人哋唔同啦，所以叫差異啊。OK，focus 就叫集中，集中即係你淨係咧攻佔一好少嘅市場嘅啫。因為你唔係需要成個市場嚟到去令到自己嘅企業生存嘅嘛，可能1%、0.5%咧就已經夠錢，令到企業可以行得好耐。所以你可能咧，如果譬如做手錶，你做一啲用人手製造嘅手錶，咁啊專賣俾嗰啲咧高收入人士 ，right？That's one way of focus. Or you're selling some of the product that help the old people so that they can walk better. Maybe a stick or a very special stick helping the old people walk better. That's very also focused strategy for rehab. We call it the rehabilitation tools. 或者賣啲嘢咧俾啲老人家，令到佢咧可能一支好特別嘅拐杖，令佢咧可能行得好啲，right？都係一啲 focus strategy 嘅做法。Or you sell some of the very high-end machinery, right? For people to do special tasks like drawing the floor, that's also focus strategy. Or you sell some of the very special tools for professional chef, that's also focus strategy. 或者你賣一啲好特別嘅工具俾人哋轉地啊，啲 focus strategy 㗎。或者咧賣啲好特別嘅切肉嘅工具俾啲廚師啦，OK？ 呢啲都係 focus strategy。有嘅喺德國好多呢啲公司啊。In Germany, they have a lot of people doing the focusing. They don't have a lot of products in the world, but their products from time to time will be highly demanded by the professional. Yeah. So we have 3 strategies here, right? It's all actually depend on your own capital. If I have a lot of money in my company, more often than not, I go for overall class leadership. If I don't have all that money, but I still be quite well off as compared with the others, I go for differentiation because that probably help me to conquer a bigger market share. If I have just very little capital to set up my own business, I more or less will go for the focus first. All right? So let's see. If I go for the cost leadership way, okay, all I have to do is to make my things, okay, make my product as in a low cost manner, I should say, low cost manner, all right, so that I can win over the market share. One way to do that is I try to keep the cost as low as possible, and that would be what we call the bottom line strategy. I kind of cut off all the overhead expenses, all right? Okay, people have to buy my things, maybe they have to come over my place and move that things away, all right? If they need to buy durian, all right, for retail, all right? So that's why we see a lot of the cost leadership people, they are actually doing some working as distributor in the market. 所以你見到咧，好多人做 cost leadership 咧，其實都係批發商嚟嘅 ，right? So they don't do any logistic at all, right? Their prime customer are retailer, right? They buy maybe 5 box, 6 box of particular fruit. You take a look at the fruit collection point, right, over there in Yamate, you're gonna find out, right? They are actually cost leadership from time to time because they basically provide all the fruit supply in Hong Kong, and a lot of people buy things from them in boxes, all right, but not in a particular 1 or 2 that you see in the retail manner, all right? So they keep the cost as low as possible, all right? That's their strategy most of the time in overall. Another way, of course, because they have so many same items keeping with them, and if you can still remember, if I have a lot of items, I have a high warehouse cost, 貨倉好貴, right? And therefore, I have to find a way to get rid of those things as soon as possible. So the top line strategy is also employed here, as you see for overall cost leadership, is to either mix my things as a new product so I can earn new revenue or find new customer. 譬如你買咗成大堆榴蓮喺度啦，咁你梗係要搞掂佢啦，快啲！如果唔係你執咗成堆榴蓮喺度，好臭啦，同埋咧有機會咧，咁咧就會爛晒啦。咁你就要諗啲計仔咧，你會用 top line strategy 嘅喎。譬如咧，你變成一啲副產品啊，譬如榴蓮乾啊，或者榴蓮雪糕就淋賣晒佢啦。又或者咧，你咧就 揾啲新嘅客戶，right？即係 for the example that I just mentioned, if you buy a lot of durians, right, in the city, you have to get rid of them as soon as possible. Otherwise, the warehouse was going to be a lot, and the fruit that you accumulate will go rotten very fast, right? Isn't it? So you have to think about to turn your existing product into some of the intermediary product, like the ice cream, all right, like the dry food, yeah. And you also have to find new customers to get rid of them ASAP, right? And that would be called top line. So we see that from overall, they would normally employ these two. And you see that for bottom line strategy, IT can help because if you can let machine to handle the big amounts of substance that you buy in an organized manner, you can employ fewer people to look after them, right? Just like in a warehouse, you use maybe a machine, a robot to kind of monitor, right? Then you can keep the cost of your maintaining a particular item that you buy, all right? For top line strategy, probably you have to make use of IT as a channel of sales, right? So you sell those kind of items you have online, or right, in whatever means you can to reach the customer, right? So that's overall cost leadership. And differentiation, the point is different. You want to make yourself different from the others. Normally, the company employing this one don't have that much capital, but they have some, all right? That's why they want to create some features, new features to their product. An example for that probably is Apple. Apple is not actually the company in IT industry that produce the cheapest computer, but they produce some of the very features computer that they sell is ease of use, right? So you find if you have experience using Mac Pro and ordinary Windows PC, you're going to find it's actually much easier to operate, isn't it? So the design, right, different. Ease of use is their differentiation strategy. So they don't conquer the whole market, right? They conquer some of them, but that um, market of people are much willing to spend a little bit more money to buy the ease of use concept. Right? The same apply to Amazon or Taobao. All right, they use the same techniques of when we are doing some online trade, we want to make the online experience of trading easier, faster than the others. That's why they create a one-click system, so it's very easy that you get paid, all right? Get the stuff paid online. We got it a fast checkout, all right? I think Taobao is also catching up with that because if you pay easy, more often than not, all right, you buy more, okay? Then that helps the business. And also, this kind of online platform would have the function of remembering what you have done so far. So next time they will kind of suggest you of something similar, right? We call this kind of techniques personalization. Personalization is remembering what you've done, and then next time do something similar because they think that this is something that you want, okay? And this would make the buying experience very personalized, and you find this particularly good to you, right? So that's differentiation strategy. And then we have focus, right? Focus strategy. The focus strategy, as said before, only target on a smaller group of people, not a big one, very small group of people, right? And by means of working for that small group of people, they hope to enjoy economy of scale by cost leadership or differentiation. Now, this is among the group, all right? For example, you're selling a very special stick, helping the old people walking, right? And you find yourself particularly successful in that, all right? And then you are doing a specific market strategy. Oh, we call it a specific market strategy, all right? And among other people who do the same as you probably is the cheapest producer. Now, one of the product that I think is also quite worth mentioning if I'm talking about the IT industry is another device called Remarkable 2. I don't know whether you heard of it before. Remarkable 2. Let me show you. I don't know, some of you may have heard of it. Okay, Remarkable 2. Remarkable 2 is like an iPad. All right, Remarkable 2, I think. 2, all right? It is a board like that, all right? It is a uh, I think I should end this slideshow here first, and then you should be able to see my screen there. Yeah, this one is called Remarkable 2, all right? This one looks very much like the paper, draw like a paper. This one sold about 4,000 Hong Kong. It's for special target people who enjoy writing on the paper, and the price is quite high, right? They are using a focus strategy because they do basically everything we did, all right, on iPad, just that the feeling of writing is very much similar to writing on paper, but this one is actually a tablet PC, right? And this computer do not need to charge, right? Once it's charged, it can be used for about 2 weeks. And the pen no need to charge either, right? That's a remarkable tool here, as you see, is using focus strategy on anyone who enjoy writing on paper and who have a very high health conscious, because we know that if we're looking at something like that for a long time is illuminating, our eyes get strained very easily, get tired very easily. But that one here is like a piece of paper, right? It's by means of the lamp here reflect to your eyes, so it would be quite good to look at because it's like a paper like that. So your eyes are not going bad all that fast. Okay, so Remarkable 2 is adopting a focus strategy. Okay, I'm telling you that because I'm also thinking seriously of buying one, especially when you're getting older. You're gonna need one like that very soon. Anyway, okay, let's return to the PowerPoint. Yep, and let me go back to the play mode here. All right. Okay, now the next one. Okay, now so before we adopt Michael Porter 5 forces model, as a business, we have to choose one strategy first, and the choice of your strategy here will formulate your vision, VISION, vision in the company, right? Vision. Mm. And then how that vision can apply, you have to still analyze, right? Analyze the market. How the markets can be analyzed, right, is the second step that Michael Porter suggests you to, and he gives a 5 forces model for us to do, right? That 5 forces model basically see all market as industry and divide it into buyer, supplier, substitute, newcomer, and internal competitors. We call it existing competitors, and that's it, right? That's the way they see an industry or market, right? And of course, the one using this model should assume themselves as a business owner. Otherwise, that model is going to be meaningless to them, right? So if you are a business owner, you will see that you have buyer. That means your customer who buy from you. Okay, so you always want to limit the choice of your buyer, so they only consider you but not the others, right? That's why, as a business owner, maybe you sell some grocery, okay? You want buyers to think about you only, right? So you want the buyer bargaining power to be low as possible to you. That would be of your benefit. But as a customer, you always want you have a lot of choices. So you see, you're always in contrast with those who want to sell things to you, right? You buy the bun in the bakery people will always like you to think about them only, but you always think about what kind of buns I can have in the world, right? You always want your buyer power to be high so that you have many choices, all right? How can business limit your choice? The usual way for them to do that is maybe they give you say a bonus card. If you buy say 5 buns from me, I give you one free, for example. Yeah, that's the way that okay, that bakery is not very good taste, but because If I buy 5, next time when I buy, I can have a free bunch. I'm thinking about buying from this shop this 5 times. So you limit the choice of the user, of the buyer, right? And once they're used to the taste of your company, maybe they will think about the other company or bakery, yeah? So this is the bargaining power that we're talking about. Now, opposite to buyer is what? Supplier. So the business owner want the buyers to have low power, but the business owner want themselves to have high power on suppliers. So what is the supplier? Supplier is I'm making buns, bread, right? I need to have flour from a farm. So I want to have many farms for me to choose from so that I can cut my cost the lowest possible, isn't it? And that's what we call high supply power, which in that particular case here, what's that mean? Customer have fewer options. Supplier want it to be high, but you want to have more options, right? You want to have more options as a business owner. So here you have choice. So business owner wants supply power to be low, all right, as low as possible, all right, so that you can have many choices of different supply. If this farm is not producing a low cost flour or wheat for you, you shift to another farm very easily, right? Some of the industry is not so diverse, right? For example, the pork, all right, the meat selling in Hong Kong is from one active distributor only, and that would be called 五豐行. I don't know whether you know it or not. Okay, if you're not buying from 五丰行, probably you have to import meat from another places or you have to hunt for pigs. All right. So for that particular case, like 五丰行, all right, they see themselves with high supply power because they see that customer have very few choice in meat, all right, intake, all right. And as a maker of buns, maybe you need to make PBQ pork, all right. Then you're gonna find out, okay, if I want to have meat, I cannot but have to turn to 五丰. So the 五丰行 here is of high power to you because more often than not, all right, they provide you with the lower cost supply. So how can we break the supply power in this particular situation? If we have perfect information, just like we learn in economics, then I know right away if this supply is not giving me the things that I want to produce my stuff, I turn to another, right? So perfect information is the key to help you break supplier power so that you can keep the supply power as low as possible at all times. Especially if this one combined with a good logistics system in the world, right? We can always be able to find substitute very easily or help very easily. Now, that's why these two always in opposite direction. And then once we handle these two, and then we have these two on top. This is sometimes some kind of things which is very hard to avoid. And that's why it's not about the power anymore. It's a threat. It's always exist, no matter what situation, because it's always there. All right. Someone is always kind of producing some things, copying you. All right. If you have just made a very great product, for example, I have organic bread, organic sandwich, and someone will copycat and do the same as you, and we call those things potential entrance. Potential entrance. So you have to think about some other special thing. Maybe I'm doing some of the organic bakery for kids, right? So you make it very special and create some of the very funny cartoon things, all right? And make people very hard to copy you, and then you buy a trademark on that, or you even patent it, right? So entrance, right, is someone copycatting you, right? You want to keep it as low as possible so that they cannot copy you, right? If you focus more, people will find it harder to copy you, right? That's the way to kind of stop people copying you, but still they do it, okay? That's why we say it's a threat. Another case is substitute. Wow, substitute is something similar as use, but not exactly the same, right? If you're providing food, lunch for people, right? Maybe you're selling noodles, then you find yourself having a lot of substitute because if people are not taking noodle, they take rice, they take maybe snacks, maybe pizza, right? Or maybe even buns. So all those are the substitute, all right? So substitute is very hard to avoid actually. If you see the things you're selling, the needs you're fulfilling the market is actually very general. You're gonna find out your substitute will have high influence to the whole sector from time to time, and you cannot but have to add fees to stop people from shifting away from you. Maybe you sign a contract with them, things like that. You tie up with them by either providing them with some of the membership scheme. All right, you just have to kind of save some points. So after a certain point, you give them extra discount. All right, that's adding fees for them to shift to the substitutes. Right, that's the way we avoid the influence of substitute, but still the substitutes there. Okay. Now the last things, of course, is the internal competition. Internal competition. People actually around your vicinity, somewhere around you, uh, sharing the same market share as you do. All right. So they are your direct competitors. Okay. If they're a lot similar like that, just like here, if you just go on out the street over there, you're gonna find out they have a lot of existing competitors. Even for bread, they have two there already. If you want to eat rice, they have actually quite a few selling the same thing. All right. Then we see the rivalries are high. All right. But if you're selling rice in an isolated island, you are the sole provider there, so you're not fearing, you're not kind of be afraid of any competitor because you're the only one producing meal surface in that particular island, right? So rivalry is talking about that. And as a business owner, you always want rivalry to be as low as possible. Mm. So making use of that, we more or less be able to figure out how a business can position itself and set in the mission statement. And from that, they can carry on to turn the company later in chapter 8. We're going to find out into an automated machines called value chain. And then they can automate it later using computer, right? And that's why the first step of analyzing the market is an important step to let computer use better in the company. And that's why we call this 5 forces model is a way to help us achieve competitive advantage for most business. And this model actually launched in 1990s. Now, and then we go to the last part of the chapter, and that would be IT job market. For IT job market, it's actually also about the IT future. We introduce you here about the different type of job we see in the IT industry, and most of them actually about you creating a solution in IT or you maintaining the existing IT service. Things like database, network, and operations is about to maintain the existing IT product service so that they can use for a longer period of time. Something like you buy a house, you need security guard to look after it so that you're gonna feel safe living in it. Okay. And for programming, for system design, for web, and also for robotics, this is the kind of job in the IT area that they create a solution, create something new. All right. So there are two different kind of people. All right. One is to make the solution, make something new to use from time to time. The other is to maintain the things you have already so that you can use for a longer period of time. Okay. So that's the category of job in IT. And in the IT industry, if you take a look at the jobs there, you're going to find out they also have 3 levels of people: senior management people, middle manager, and also the operation people. And for senior manager, for senior management, is top of the, sorry, I just go to the last page. For senior manager, they would normally be CT or CIO, all right? They normally, because they're senior people in a company, remember when we say senior people, they make long-term, we call it long-range or long-term decision. That means 6 months to 2 years decision, all right, on IT in a company, all right? And they would not, they would have some of the time need to create a solution on IT for the company. Other times they have to maintain as well. So in their perspective, in their position, they do both the creation of solution and maintenance of the existing solution as well for the IT. Now, because nowadays IT is involved a lot of the issue where people privacy will be tampered very easily. That's why in that particular level of people, we also see that more and more these CTO would have the duty to maintain as a chief privacy officer as well. This is actually a gesture in the higher management of a company to stress that they value individual rights. Okay, if you do not do that, especially in a democratic country, you will have a lot of lawsuits out of privacy violation. So company try to avoid it. Therefore, they would make the senior management also have some concept of privacy. So these people would have IT skill plus legal knowledge as well, or training, or legal training. Okay, because they always have to deal with laws on privacy and policy as well, so that they can maintain customer privacy in this in such a way that the company will not suffer from any lawsuit that come after it. Now, for middle management, remember we have a company triangle before. This page is about the middle manager, all right, middle manager. For middle manager, okay, they will separate as you are looking after the solution of the IT in the company, or you are creating some solution for it. If you're looking after the existing IT stuff in your company, that middle manager is called the manager of IS. All right, this is looking after, or maintenance. We call it looking after the existing solution. And that's why they have to think about how to manage the hardware. When this hardware needs to be replaced with a newer model, when this software needs to be upgraded, okay, when do I have to arrange people to answer people question over the phone, right? All those stuff. This is the manager of IS job. But as we know that apart from the company is always changing, so they need some new IT system from time to time. If a company decides to make a new IT system so the customer can, for example, trace their product easier or inquire you in a much more interactive manner, then they will need a system analyst to study how the work done in a company and make a system out of it. And this is the job of system analyst. They have to design and also make a system. Implement means making a system, making a solution. So that solution will fit in the work pattern of the company. And that work pattern is something we mentioned very early in the chapter, is business intelligence. So the people in the company can work faster and produce and serve more customers. That means produce more. And so for system analysts, therefore, they need to know the business well. That's what we say is thorough understanding. They have to know the business well so that they know how to make a tailor-made solution for that particular company. All right? If any company here want to make a new system for HKCC so that people can airdrop easier or do hybrid teaching easier, then that person will definitely be a system analyst because he is the person creating something new solution, new software, maybe new set of hardware for the company. And then for the working people in IT, right? Now this page is about the working people, right? Here, operation. For the IT manager, they look after the system, but he can't do it all by himself. He needs to have someone helping him. Network administrator, database administrator, basically are the subordinates of the manager of IS. right? Network people, of course, is to take a look and see whether the company having good communication in and outside world, inside the company and outside, and connecting to the outside world. So they care about security there and the communication inside and outside company. On the other hand, your company probably have a lot of the data saved, right? So you can take it out for reference later for insight, right? So a lot of company will also have database administrator, which they would try to dig knowledge and understanding of the existing data. And that's the job database administrator, right? This is a way to maintain the system value, right? So that they can be used long term for the company. Now, apart from look after the system in terms of data and communication, if you are to create solution for the company, the people working would be programmers. So this page is also operation people, but this is basically, but they are basically the people working under system analyst. System analysts know the business pretty well. He thought of a new solution, and then he needs the programmer or webmaster to write the program out, so he can test it and see whether that is an okay stuff, a solution, helping the company to produce or run faster to serve more customer, right? So programmer or webmaster, they write program. They are very hard to distinguish now. Web, basically, they also write program, just that the interface may be on the web or mobile phone, all right? Then the product for them will normally be something we call it the apps, the application or program, all right? This is what they do. Okay. Now, for the job market, we see there's more diversity because our society is turning into much more intelligence. And we see that apart from the normal software engineer or programmer we see earlier, we have data scientists and social media manager or architect, which makes use of the existing surface, right, of communication in people. And we also see some jobs like search engine optimization, which basically help you to promote your company to the outside world, and sharing as well in cloud, right? In cloud architect. So the direction here is on intelligence, sharing, and connection, right? So all the jobs are newly created in recent 5 to 8 years actually in the IT field. Apart from the traditional solution creation job we see earlier. And the future of IT, of course, you see this is the key right now, intelligence. We try to make things smarter and smarter and more integrated with our life, not only for company, right? This is a trend. And we're going to see also the hardware software cost is going down dramatically and even zero cost. Okay, just like a lot of the time when we buy the new phone, we're going to find out the phone will not cost you any money, but the service, right? The monthly service actually has a high cost over there, right? So you're going to find out the hardware software is going down and down because of mass production. And we see that our demand of how to use a machine in terms of skill and our knowledge about the machine is also required to get higher and higher. That's why computer literacy, can you remember this one? Is the measure of how good you are in using a computer and how much you know some hardware software. This requirement is getting higher and higher. That's why education also equipped with anyone, no matter what they're studying, with some IT proficiency, right? And also we find ourselves more and more depend on communication, right? Can you now work on a computer without network? It's not possible anymore because then you're going to find ourselves can do nothing, right? So that networking is talking about whether you can go on the internet, right? This network technology reliance is actually echoing internet growth, right? It's actually echoing internet growth. So they are the two similar points here, networking and internet, right? And then we also see the power of our computer getting, even it's getting smaller, it's more and more powerful. And it's also cheaper for us to buy and easier to handle. We call it maintain. And at the same time, unfortunately, we also see the crime in computing, in communication is getting more and more. So very easy that if we are not careful, we'll be tapped, will be hacked, all right, by someone online, and then our information leak, and then we'll suffer losses, all right. So this is something like a challenge to us, and that's why security now becomes a very important issue in the field of computing. And that's why even in senior management, they have the privacy officers actually tackling computer crimes right now in the world. And COVID-19 period, actually, a lot of people suffer losses in online trade, online payment, actually, as well, as you can see in news reporting. Now, we have some other trend here is ubiquitous computing. What is ubiquitous computing? Let me show you, all right? It's actually part of us now. If you go to, okay, this one, you take a look at this short video, you're gonna know. Let's see if you can hear that.
Send a message to Wayne. I'll be at her building in 20 minutes. Can you get Josh and meet me there? Okay, Google. Start a run.
Here's the message. I'll be at out building in 20 minutes. Can you get Josh and meet me there?
Reply. How about we make it 5 minutes?
Got it. Here's your message. How about we make it 5 minutes? Do you want to send it?
Cat videos. I'll see you in 20 minutes, Timothy. I'll see you in 5 minutes, Wayne.
Okay. 1, 2.
Welcome to Ubiquitous Computing.
I'm Timothy Jordan, a developer advocate at Google.
And I'm Wayne Pekarski, also a developer advocate at Google.
And I'm Josh Gordon, and you guessed it, also a developer advocate at Google.
As you'll learn in this course, ubiquitous computing is simply a fancy phrase for technology that's accessible to the user whenever and wherever they want or need it. Perhaps they're outside, goers could be in any of those.
Let's see. Now that's ubiquitous computing, right? This is a trend, meaning that we are getting more and more integrated with the IT product we have, all right? And we got to see that we are now printing something solid, that's 3 or 4D printing. We also make use of more and more data to make analysis and prediction, that's analytics. And the machine's getting smarter. Now that's all that is actually echoing the point that we just mentioned here on intelligence, right? And we also get more and more stuff on cloud, on a common server, so people can share with us, or if you have used AirDrop before, you're going to find out. Or even the system can direct itself to work properly, and that would be software, all right? That would be software application. And at the same time, you see the security trend of monitoring well, getting higher and higher priorities in company management or even in personal management. Right? And that wraps up for everything we have for chapter 1. But before we stop it here, I also need to talk about the group project we have. We have some minutes here. Now this project that I just put on Monday here is a project need to submit in November the 8th, 7 o'clock in the evening. Now there you have to study a technology, okay, that could be blockchain, augmented reality, or utility computing. And you have to study that and tell me what it is and what business application it has, basically. Now after you study that, all right, you have to produce a report That report is in Microsoft Word. And we're going to see how good you are in Microsoft Word and how good you are in Microsoft PowerPoint, but you do not need to present it. Lucky you. We just see how good you are in those software usage. And the report had this structure. We kind of worked through it in the lab already. And the PowerPoint required would be 25 slides. But remember, no need to present. You just need to meet the PowerPoint because we want to see a PowerPoint skill. Now, how many people you get for the project? Look, 5, 6 people. It's from the same lecture class, so don't have to be the same tutorial. Okay, you can have the same lecture class. For example, we are from A01, then A01 all together. Okay, and once you find your group, oh, sorry. Okay, about time. You have to fill in a form. Okay, what form is it? If you go to, listen, if you are in the centralized Moodle, you fill in this group member form, and there, you have to fill in your information here, and you have to select a group leader. One group leader, one group. Okay. Listen. You also have to tell me which technology you want to study because we have quota. Okay? So the earlier you submit, the higher the chance you get your first choice. So please submit it as soon as you can. Where can I submit the group member form? I submit it, listen, here. Alright? In group member form. So the group leader